The rise and fall of John Gotti, New York's most infamous mob boss. Have you ever wondered how one man could rise to the top of the most powerful crime family in New York, only to come crashing down in spectacular fashion? John Gotti, known as the Teflon Don, was one of the most infamous mob bosses in American history. His flashy style, media presence, and ruthless leadership made him a household name in the 1980s and 90s. But behind the headlines was a criminal empire built on violence, racketeering, and extortion. And in the end, even Gotti couldn't escape the reach of the law. In this video, we'll explore how Gotti rose to power, the FBI's relentless pursuit of him, and the moment his empire finally crumbled. Early life MLB connections. John Joseph Gotti Jr. was born on October 27, 1940 in the South Bronx, New York. Raised in a large Italian-American family, he grew up in poverty, one of 13 siblings. From a young age, he was drawn to the life of crime. By his teenage years, Gotti was already running errands for local mobsters and getting involved in petty theft. But his first real taste of the underworld came when he joined the Fulton Rockaway Boys, a street gang with ties to organized crime. It was here that Gotti learned the brutal realities of life in the mob: loyalty, power, and most of all, violence. By the 1960s, Gotti had caught the attention of the Gambino crime family, one of the 5 families that controlled New York's organized crime. He started working under Carmine Fatico, a capo in the family, running illegal gambling operations and loan sharking. His ability to earn money and his willingness to enforce the family's rule through violence made him stand out. The rise to power and Gambino family leadership. Gotti's big break came in 1973 when he was tasked with a hit on James McBratney, a rival gangster who had kidnapped and killed a Gambino associate. Gotti carried out the assassination, proving his loyalty and earning respect. Although he was arrested and served a short prison sentence, his rise within the family was unstoppable. When he got out, he quickly became a key figure under Paul Castellano, the head of the Gambino family. However, Gotti resented Castellano's leadership. Unlike Gotti, Castellano was more of a businessman than a street enforcer, and his distaste for the more violent side of the mob put him at odds with many traditional gangsters. Gotti saw an opportunity. On December 16, 1985, in the heart of Manhattan, Paul Castellano and his underboss, Thomas Bilotti, were gunned down outside Sparks Steakhouse. The assassination, carried out by Gotti's men, was a bold and public display of power. With Castellano dead, Gotti took over the Gambino crime family, the most powerful mafia organization in the country. The Teflon Don and his public persona. Unlike other mob bosses who kept a low profile, Gotti reveled in the spotlight. He wore expensive suits, drove luxury cars, and was often seen at nightclubs and high-end restaurants. He cultivated an image of power and invincibility, earning the nickname the Teflon Don because charges against him never seemed to stick. Between 1986 and 1990, Gotti faced multiple trials, but each time he walked free. Witnesses were intimidated, jurors were bribed, and prosecutors couldn't make charges stick. The media was fascinated by him. Gotti became a pop culture figure, almost a celebrity mobster. But while the public was enamored, the FBI was growing increasingly determined to bring him down. High investigations and wiretaps. Behind the scenes, the FBI had been carefully watching Gotti. They knew they needed hard evidence, and they found it in an unexpected place: Gotti's own arrogance. Unbeknownst to him, the FBI had bugged a room in the back of the Ravenite Social Club, where Gotti held many of his meetings. The tapes captured him discussing crimes in detail, ordering hits, and even complaining about his underboss, Sammy the Bull Gravano. At the same time, law enforcement finally found a way to break the code of silence that protected the mafia. In a shocking move, Gravano, Gotti's right-hand man, turned informant to save himself. His testimony, combined with the wiretaps, gave the FBI everything they needed to take Gotti down for good. The downfall: conviction and life in prison. In 1992, after years of evading justice, Gotti was finally convicted of multiple charges, including murder, racketeering, and obstruction of justice. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Locked away in the maximum security facility at Marion, Illinois, Gotti's once powerful empire crumbled. His son, John Gotti Jr., attempted to take over, but the Gambino family was never the same. Gotti spent the rest of his life behind bars battling health issues. In 2002, he died of throat cancer at the age of 61. The man who once ruled the New York underworld had died in a prison cell. a far cry from the powerful mob boss he once was. Legacy and impact on organized crime. Gotti's downfall marked the beginning of the end for the American mafia as it once was. His conviction, along with the testimony of Sammy Gravano, led to a wave of arrests and prosecutions that crippled the five families. The FBI's war on organized crime changed forever, and the era of the untouchable mob boss was over. But even today, John Gotti remains a fascinating figure. Was he a ruthless criminal who destroyed lives, or was he simply a product of a world where power and violence ruled? Whatever the answer, his story remains one of the most dramatic rises and falls in mafia history. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the life of John Gotti, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more true crime and mafia history content. Thanks for watching.